So as an example of creating a new lesson in the theory handbook, I'm going to go to Unit 201 and I'm going to create lesson 4.1. So the easiest way to do that is go across to Pages and open up the drop-down menu for Unit 201. So I can use any of these pages as the template for the next page. They're all the same. The format's the same, it's just the content that's different. So just for the sake of argument, I'm going to go to this one, 4.1. I'm going to hover over it, raise the ellipsis, and click on that. And it gives me the option to duplicate that page. I'll rename it. That's going to be Unit 201, Lesson 4.2. That's done. And that should open up that page. Or the page that's highlighted in blue in this menu on the side is always the one that you're working on. So I can start editing that page now. So I'll change that to 4.2 and I'm going to change the title of it. And the title, with what I've been doing, is taking each lesson straight from the topic, the relevant topic in the awarding body handbook. So I'm going to open up a new tab and open up the awarding body handbook. In this case, it's 7906. And open up the course handbook. I'm just going to take as much detail as I can straight from that. Find the one that's already up there. So I'm going to just find that topic. And copy the details from that straight across. So it's types of building services. Copy that and back to my website, and I can paste that in. And because the activity is also the same number and title, I can just do the same again down here for the activity. So just paste that in there. I'm going to come back to that in a bit, but for now, let's just work our way down the page. So the next thing that I want to do is change the image. What I've the way that I've set this up for navigation is basically the students have two options for finding their way around the finished site. One is to click on the menu at the top of the side of the page. The other is to click on the icons on the page, and that latter method is hopefully helps them to find their way around the work progressively around the website, around the handbook, as it were, nice and easy. So the idea is they click on an icon, and that image is the same image that they'll see when they land on the page. So if I show you how that actually works in practice, I'm going to go back to the home page for Unit 201. And you'll see after the introduction, basically each lesson, each successive lesson has a title and an icon, and these are buttons. So they click on one of those and it should take them to the relevant lesson. So because the page that I'm working on now is copied from 4.1, it's got all the same details as 4.1, including that image. So I've got to do two things now. I've got to make this button here live. I've got to link it to the page we want to take the student to, and then I've got to change the image that they see when they get to that page. So let's do the first of those two things. So if I click on that and click again, you can see that it's already got a link. Now you want to delete that link because that's not going to be the link to the page you've just created. That's just a copied link to something else. So delete the link that you see and then click on the link, insert link symbol, and then you should just be able to scroll down until you find the page that you've just created. So I'm looking for 201 lesson 4.2. So if I just click on that and then click apply, then that button's going to work. It's going to take the students where I want. So I can try that out. If I publish the site and view it, I can see if that link's working okay. So click on that and it's taking me where I want to go. So that's good. So back to the editing site. You can also click here. It's a bit more clumsy. In the editing site, you've got to click twice and then click on the on the link that comes up. I find it easier to navigate on the actual editing site on the right hand menu. But that's just whatever you find easy. And it takes a little while to load up as well. My broadband's quite slow. I'm working at home, and the editing site's a little bit slow and clumsy. You'll find in the actual published site everything works nice and slick. It works pretty quick, so you don't have these long delays. Anyway, here we are. So what I need to do now is change that image. So I'm going to click on that, click on the three dots, and replace image. And I'm going to upload an image. I've been keeping all the images that I've used for this project all in one handy folder. Certainly works for me, rather than trying to hunt through a load of images or try and find things that I found off the internet and I haven't kept. So I've downloaded all of these. They're all copyright free, all downloaded to a folder just for this website. So there's the image I want. Click on that, open it, and now the image on the page matches the image on the button. So it's just a little touch. It doesn't matter. Honestly, I suppose none of this is critical to the web page working, the website working, but well, sometimes all the little details add up to make it a bit better and a bit more user friendly. Okay, so the next thing I've got to do is change the introduction. So this is just a brief bit on building services. What I normally do is I just if I'm working using a textbook, particular textbook, I'll use some text from the textbook, or even just Google it if I can find some useful information and maybe a link to a little bit more detail about what is meant. So our students, this unit is quite early on in their progress, so they might not know what building services are. So just a really basic introduction. So that's what I'm going to do now. I'm just going to pause this video and fill that in. So I found a useful useful website, given a brief introduction and a brief explanation of what building services are and what they might include. So I've copied that across, tried to make it, set the scene for the lesson, talking about what they'll learn, sort of what's, hows and whys of what they'll learn. It's also useful, I think, if you find a bit of a useful and instructive website, we can always link them in. One of the powers of doing this online is that we can put a lot of links in. So I'm going to do that. So I'm going to go back to the web page that I found, copy the link, and I'm going to put it in. I'm going to put it here. So just pop a link in there. So there's no necessity for the learners to follow that link, but they'll see that the link is there, and if they're keen, they can find out a little bit more there, or we can point them to it. If they're asking questions and they want to learn more, we can say, well, you could why not check out that link, that sort of thing. Okay, so that's the introduction. We've got that right. Personal targets are just about trying to get the students to self-assess. So, and typically for these qualifications, they need to, at this level, they need to remember key facts. The better students will be able to explain the principles behind those facts, and the best students will be able to show how they'd apply them themselves and maybe take them out of a typical setting and apply the principles out of context. So again, I'm going to just stop the recording and try and think of a few basic targets for them to aim for. So I've added some personal targets, and these are designed for the learners to set for themselves, but also make a good topic of conversation if we're having professional discussions or one-to-ones or tutorials. Helps us to gauge and explain to the learners what they need to be aiming at and what how we gauge that. So that's those. Then the range, again, I'm taking straight from the qualification handbook. So I'm going back to that 4.1, 4.2 rather. So the range is types of services that I use to supply buildings, and it's just a very simple breakdown of some of the basics. So I'm going to take that straight out of the qualification and pop it in here. Okay, format it. Put in a little bit about how this lesson is going to affect people who are either directly or indirectly involved in the specific topic. So that's linking it to the qualification, linking it to work. Okay, so the next thing then is the main activity. So this is the sort of the key element, the key learning process for the lesson. And if you've got ready-made interactive activities, as we have for some of these lessons, then that's nice and easy. So that's what I'm going to do in this example, and then in a later video I'm going to show you how to create interactive lessons if they're not already pre-built. So first thing I'm going to do here is, again, this link, because I copied and pasted the page, this link is to the wrong activity. So first of all, just get rid of that, delete it, and then I'm going to insert a link. So to get that link, I'm going to Smart Screen, so new tab, Smart Screen, and I've already looked at the mapping document and I've found the relevant e-learning module for this activity. So where are we? Building services, nice and easy. So open that one up. Okay, so that's the landing page for this activity, building services. So I'll just copy that link and click on the link symbol, paste it in there, apply it, and that's good to go. That's easy, easy peasy. Now we've got find out more. So what we've been doing is trying to create opportunities for the learners to do their own digging, own personal research, and some are going to be better at this than others. And there's a number of things you could do in here. You could just find interesting articles, links, videos, anything like that. It could just be an assignment. It could literally be exercise 1 is read page 23 to 24 of your course handbook. Think about these questions as you read, something like that. It's to encourage self-driven learning, really. So again, I'm going to pause and I'm going to fill in some bits. Okay, so I've got the extension activities, find out more activities in place, simple instructions and a link, and there's not any particular assessment based on this, but we can we can create some assessment in the what have you learned section later. So that's that. I'm going to show you how to do this bit, create some assessment in a different video. But for now, the last thing I want to do is publish what I've done and make sure it works. Publish, view, and check all the links work.